Okay, I think probably the biggest thing to notice is we obviously took the pads off today and went with kind of our shells. So a little less of the physical pounding, a little bit more running, emphasis on some special situations, 2-minute scenarios, third down scenarios. And I thought the guys really embraced it. I thought their energy was really good. We weren't perfect. It took us a minute to understand the different style of practice that we were in. Not every practice is going to be full speed tackling, going to the ground. It's learning how to practice, and every year we have to reteach it. But all in all, I thought the offense was very sharp early. I thought the defense responded pretty good there in the last team period, and then ultimately the offense came out and won the finish challenge there at the end on third down. So, but I thought the passing game was crisp. I thought Cody was sharp. I thought the receivers were sharp, making plays. All of them, quite honestly. I mean, whether it was Stephen Mitchell, Ajane looked good today, Darius looked good today, Juju looked good today. And Isaac Whitney showed some stuff too. So all in all, again, like I said, I thought the passing game offensively was good. I thought our intensity, I don't want to say our intensity, but I thought our focus defensively took a minute to get going, and then they got going there in the second half of practice, which was good because we're going to need to practice this way moving forward.
What was the deal with the dance contest in the middle there?
Just to break it up, just to break up the monotony, have a little fun with these guys. Obviously, again, like I said, we weren't in pads. That's normally our competition period where we do a lot of one-on-one work. So we allowed each position group to send a representative to dance. Obviously, some guys were a lot better than others, but it was fun for the guys. But part of it too was to say, hey, we can have our fun, and then we can refocus and get right back into practice, and that's part of it. That's part of the game. We're going to have moments in games where we're going to make a great play, and we're going to want to celebrate, and then we need to refocus for the very next snap and be locked in and do exactly what we need to do for the very next play. And so that was part of it as well.
Did you determine a winner?
I really didn't. No. I would say Roy Hemsley was probably the most impressive. For a man that size that can dance like that, that was pretty impressive.
Sommer had that big catch at the end today. Do you anticipate the fullback getting more touches?
Well, we'd like to, and today we really made it a point to emphasize the fullback. So you should have seen quite a bit of Jaleel and Soma involved in the offense. It was also a day intentionally to try to back off a little bit of Connor and Jalen. They've had a long spring camp where we've put a lot on them. And so this was a day intentionally to try to back off of them, really focus on the fullback some more. And I think it went well from the naked eye. I'll have to go look at the film.
What did you make of?
Go ahead.
What did you make of that bubble screen where Stephen Mitchell made roughly half the defense miss him?
Well, that's what we've been seeing all spring camp, progressively. Stephen has had a really nice spring. I think, quite honestly, he's been motivating Ajane. Ajane had a great practice today as well. But Stephen has been explosive with the ball in his hands, and that's what that position in our offense needs to be. If you remember last year, there were times where we were moving Nelson to that position for that very reason, to try to create that explosiveness. We're able to naturally have it with Stephen playing there right now, and then spelling him with a Jane and a Dory at times. And so we're a lot better offensively when that position is an explosive guy that can really put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Talk about explosiveness on defense. You're seeing Sua just coming off the edge.
Yeah, Sua had a heck of a practice today. I mean, he was really electric coming off the edge. It's hard on defensive guys on days when they can't be physical. And Sua, obviously, he's claiming there's a lot more sacks in there than I gave him credit for, which I forewarned the defense in the team meeting that would be the case, because we were trying to create some scenarios. I wanted to create some different field goal scenarios and some scenarios with 5 seconds left with the ball on the 3-yard line, things of that nature. So, but Sua has had, again, another guy that I want to praise for not just his athleticism. I think Sua's really embraced a role of coming with great energy, practicing with an attitude every single day, and setting the tone for the defense, which he definitely has done that throughout camp so far.
Last season, you rotated offensive linemen a lot.
How much of that was on a need, like a conditioning need, if you will?
Well, I think a lot of it was, this was new to us a year ago. This tempo, this speed was new to us, and we were very young. We had players that hadn't been in our off-season conditioning program that were playing for us early in their careers. I think we're a lot better off today, but I also think we're a lot more talented today too. So that doesn't mean that we won't rotate. We might rotate because guys deserve playing time, and it might not necessarily always be within series. It could be every third series, things of that nature. But all in all, I think our offensive line is performing well. We have some young guys that are going through some growing pains right now, which is natural. But all in all, I think they're performing well.
There was a report, I think yesterday, that said Adoree will be going to Florida for the relays.
No, he will not be.
Go ahead.
With that, is he pretty much not doing any track until...
He'll go back to track at the end of spring practice. Yeah.
With the strength gains that Cody has made with his core and other parts of his body, is he able to make some throws now that maybe he couldn't make before, or make them better?
Well, I think probably better is right. I think what we saw today a couple different times, he necessarily didn't run the ball, but he stepped up in the pocket, he moved in the pocket with explosiveness, and then delivered the ball really accurately. There was a play to Juju where he stepped up and hit him over the middle there in a 2-minute scenario. There was the play at the end of practice on 3rd and 6 where he escapes to his right and throws a really accurate ball for the first down on 3rd and 6 there as well. So it's not always about him running, it's about him buying time and then ultimately throwing the ball really accurately. And I think we're seeing that with Cody, and I think he's developing in the confidence. The confidence is growing within him that he can be that player, that he can step up, that he can put pressure on the defense with his legs to buy time and then make those throws down the field for guys to go make plays.
Justin Davis was a guy that had a little bit of fumbling issues a year ago. What is he doing better to protect the ball?
Well, we practice it, obviously. I mean, we practice it at his position group every day. Obviously, Thursdays are a team emphasis on the ball, and we're just harping it, and we're making the defense make it hard on him. We're forcing them to really get after the football with him. Knock on wood, he's done a great job so far. I think Justin, again, is another guy who's had a good camp. He's running the ball efficiently. We haven't really allowed the defense to tackle him, and I probably won't, and until we get going into fall camp. But he's running with good pad level. He's getting behind his pads. He's making explosive cuts. And the aspect of his game a year ago at this time that I was concerned about was his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield has really become a strength for him. He's a weapon out of the backfield catching the ball, which in our system, that's a huge bonus.
Steve, you have guys on one end of the spectrum like Cody that played a lot, some of those receivers, and then new players who are just into the system. Is there anyone in that group that's kind of in between, guys that didn't play much at all last year and are still developing, that have made strides that might put them in the mix?
Sure. I mean, I think the first guy that jumps out to me is Ajane. I mean, a guy who didn't redshirt, kind of, we saw glimpses of him at times last year. The hamstring kicked in. He struggled a little early in spring ball, and the last 2 practices is really starting to perform and is starting to say, hey, this guy is deserving of more playing time, is deserving of being on the field.
Any linemen or on either side?
Yeah, I think Nico Fala is another guy who's going into his, I guess this would be his 3rd year now. Put him in with the ones a bunch again today and is performing. And that's really cool for me. And I've said this before. In this day and age of, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody here, of Scout and Rivals and ESPN and 247 and stars and rankings, and a kid signs with USC, there's this instant gratification that every kid is supposed to come in and start as a true freshman and be a freshman All-American. It doesn't always work like that. There's the developmental side to this piece that we take pride in as a coaching staff, that we get to develop these guys and ultimately that they can achieve their potential. And I think Nico's a classic example of that, of a guy who just is continuing to work, and he's getting better and he's gaining confidence, not only on the field but off the field. I think Stephen Mitchell's another classic example of that, of just developing that confidence and belief in himself that he can go out and do those things. And so, not every guy is going to be Sua or Adoree or Juju. I mean, Max Brown is that guy. I mean, Max Brown is playing lights out right now for us. I would have not a problem if hey, Cody went down, Max had to step into the game. I think Max would do great. I don't know if I could say the same thing a year ago at this time, but so the developmental side to this piece is something that we take a lot of pride in as a coaching staff.
Do one more.
Pat Hayden talked about his son today in Indiana and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on that?
Well, my feeling is this, Scott. In my opinion, we're at the most diverse university in America. And we're, in my opinion, the most diverse city in America. And if we can embrace that diversity and be able to voice our opinion with the stage that we have, we should. And I support Pat in every step of the way. We met with the team on it today. I think it was a good statement for us to learn about. We've had issues this spring nationally that have allowed us as a team to grow. We've had racial issues, we've had diversity issues, we've had gender issues, we've had sexual abuse issues that I think are going to make us a better team because we're going to have better young men that understand how the world works. And that's part of coming to USC. It's part of coming here to get that experience, to grow as an individual. And so we totally support Pat and his message.